Every October 31st, the world celebrates a night of costumes and candy, but few know the dark heartbeat that gave it life. A pagan festival where the living and the dead walked together beneath the moon, where bonfires were not games, but blazing doorways between worlds. How did an ancient Celtic rite become the neon-lit Halloween we know today? What did the first Christians do when they faced customs so powerful and dangerous? And most of all, what prophetic and spiritual meaning might still be hidden in plain sight? Stay until the end, because what you'll discover will forever change the way you see Halloween, and perhaps the unseen battle raging all around us. Step beyond the modern lights of Halloween into a world far older and far darker. Long before neon pumpkins and candy-filled streets, there was Samhain, the sacred, fearsome festival of the ancient Celts. Picture the emerald hills of Ireland and Scotland, cloaked in mist. The air bites with the first breath of winter. Groves circle above silent standing stones carved with forgotten runes. It is the 31st of October, the eve when summer dies and the dark half of the year begins. To the Celts, the world was not as solid as we believe. They spoke of the veil, a fragile curtain separating the living from the dead. And on this night that veil thinned to nothing. The boundaries trembled, and spirits walked freely among mortals. Some returned to bless their families. Others sought vengeance, chaos, or destruction. Villages prepared in awe and terror. Massive bonfires roared on hilltops, beacons to ward off malevolent souls. Grains, fruits, and even animals were cast into the flames as offerings. The sparks rose like prayers, scattering into the star-streaked heavens. Druids, keepers of ancient secrets, watched the flames closely, reading omens of harvest and war, of life and death. Listen to the drums. Feel the earth beneath your feet. Men and women donned animal skins and twisted masks, disguising themselves to confuse wandering spirits. They believed if they looked like the dead would pass them by. Through shadowed forests they walked, torches flickering against gnarled trees, their breath fogging in the night, their whispers carried away by the wind. Samhain was not a playful game. It was reverence for forces beyond comprehension. Even the stones seemed to hum with an ancient power. Every rustle of leaves, every howl of a distant wolf was a reminder that the world of flesh and the world of spirit were never far apart. And beyond the mortal fear, there was prophecy. The Celts believed that on Samhain, glimpses of the future could be caught in firelight or water. Young men and women gazed into bowls of water or polished stones, seeking visions of the paths their lives would take, marriage, fortune, or doom. For a single night, the universe felt open, dangerous, alive. Now imagine standing among them, the bonfires glow painting faces in gold and crimson, the wind tearing at cloaks, the sky ablaze with stars, and above it all, the sense that eternity was only an arm's length away. This was Samhain, the heartbeat of an ancient world, the origin of what we now call Halloween. But Samhain was not only fear, it was rhythm and renewal. The Celts saw time as a circle, not a straight line. The dying of summer was not an ending, but a turning of the wheel. The same stars that shone over their bonfires still burn tonight. In some villages, families left doors unlatched and tables set with bread and milk, offerings for wandering spirits or beloved ancestors. To refuse them was to invite misfortune. Children learned early. Kindness to the unseen could safeguard a household. There are whispers of strange fires flickering on lonely hills, blue flames said to mark hidden treasure or restless souls. Some legends claim that those who followed these ghostly lights would never return. Even animals played their part in the omen-rich night. Cats, especially black ones, were seen as spirit guides or warnings. Livestock were led through the smoke of sacred fires for purification and protection. The scent of burning herbs, sage, juniper, and rowan filled the air. The Druids believed that prophecy was clearest when the world was on the edge of change. They cast stones into rivers, listened to the crackle of burning oak, and traced the patterns of stars. Every sign spoke: the harvest's fate, a kingdom's fall, a child's destiny. Imagine the hush between drumbeats, the moment when every villager holds their breath. A branch snaps in the dark. Is it a fox or something older stepping across the veil? The night is alive with possibility, with warning, with wonder. And though centuries have passed, echoes of Samhain remain. Every candle flicker, every carved pumpkin grin, every shadow on a suburban lawn. They are faint memories of a people who stood under the same moon, knowing that on one night each year, the worlds of the living and the dead were not so far apart. The night deepens, and the veil between worlds thins even more. Shadows stretch unnaturally, bending and twisting as if alive, and every flicker of light seems to reveal a fleeting figure in the distance. Halloween is no longer a playful celebration here. It becomes a living reminder that unseen forces roam freely. Ancient whispers echo through the wind, voices that seem to carry memories older than time itself. Some say that on this night, the earth itself listens, that every step you take is recorded by the very fabric of creation, waiting for judgment. The stars above flicker faintly, as if reluctant to witness what unfolds below. Picture a desolate crossroads beneath a blood-red moon. For centuries, legends have spoken of travelers who vanished there, lured by a melody only they could hear. Some claim it was the song of angels, others the snare of darker entities. The truth remains hidden, but the crossroads waits, silent and hungry. In forgotten villages, families once carved symbols into their doors, not for decoration, but for protection. They believed these markings would confuse wandering spirits seeking a doorway into the living world. Tonight, such symbols would feel more necessary than ever. Firelight dances against old stone walls, illuminating ancient inscriptions that speak of wars between realms. Battles fought not with swords, but with the strength of faith and the courage of the soul. Could Halloween be the echo of these forgotten struggles, a reminder written in the turning of the seasons? A cold breeze sweeps through a forest of skeletal trees, each branch clawing at the sky. The rustling leaves almost sound like whispers, names being spoken, warnings being offered. Somewhere an owl cries out, its voice carrying the weight of ages. Nature itself seems to hold its breath. Imagine a cathedral, abandoned and crumbling, standing against the night sky. A single beam of moonlight pierces through its broken roof, falling upon a shattered altar. Dust rises like incense as the air hums faintly, as though the stones themselves still hold sacred memories. Some old texts suggest that Halloween marks not just the turning of the year, but the moment when choices are remembered, when the paths we took are illuminated by unseen light. The harvest ends, the fields sleep, but the soul is called to awaken. A lone lantern flickers on a forgotten grave, its flames struggling against the cold. There is no wind, and yet the light trembles violently, as if unseen hands brush against it. Perhaps it is the memory of the one buried beneath, reaching out for just one more glimpse of the world. Over distant hills, storm clouds gather silently, flashing with pale lightning that does not thunder. It is the kind of light that reveals things you wish you had not seen, a silhouette on the ridge, a face in the mist, or an ancient figure watching, unmoving. Somewhere, a forgotten bell tolls, though no church stands there anymore. The sound rolls through the valley like a warning, a reminder that some places remain sacred even in ruin, and that some echoes refuse to fade. Stories tell of those who dared mock the unseen on this night and paid dearly for their arrogance. A jest spoken at the wrong moment, a light-hearted dare in a haunted field. These small acts open doors never meant to be open. And yet amid the dread there is awe. The sky tonight feels infinite, as though creation itself watches. The moon seems closer, brighter, as if inviting you to listen, to remember. Halloween is both a warning and a wonder, a reminder that mystery still lives among us. In this tension between light and darkness, between laughter and fear, the night holds its breath. The boundaries between the sacred and the profane blur. Perhaps that is why even the strongest feel a shiver run down their spine tonight. As the wind grows colder, you sense that something vast is just beyond sight, watching, waiting. It is neither malevolent nor kind, it simply is, eternal and immeasurable. And for a fleeting moment, you realize how small and precious our world truly is. Somewhere far away, candles flicker in windows, prayers whispered into the dark. Not out of terror, but reverence, a recognition that there is more to this world than what we see. The stories we tell tonight are not just for fear, they are a bridge. They connect us to those who came before, to those who believed, who trembled, who hoped. Every legend carries a fragment of truth, waiting for the right ears to hear. So as Halloween's night deepens, remember, the unseen is closer than you think. And sometimes the greatest revelations are found in the shadows we fear to enter. As Christianity spread across Celtic lands, church leaders faced a delicate challenge: how to guide a people deeply attached to their ancient rites without alienating them completely. They chose a strategy of transformation rather than destruction. The Feast of Samhain, once a night of fear and offerings, was slowly reframed. By the 8th century, Pope Gregory III established November 1st as All Saints' Day, a holy celebration honoring martyrs and saints, absorbing the same date that once belonged to the pagan fire festivals. Bonfires, once meant to ward off restless spirits, now became symbols of divine light overcoming darkness. Costumes, once disguises to hide from wandering souls, were reinterpreted as playful masks or dramatizations of the triumph of good over evil. Even the practice of leaving food for spirits found new life in soul cakes, small breads given to the poor in exchange for prayers for the dead. What was once a pagan offering became an act of Christian charity. This blending of old and new was not merely convenience, it was a cultural bridge. By echoing familiar symbols, the Church turned a night of dread into a holy vigil, guiding communities toward new faith without severing their history. The transformation reminds us that cultures evolve through adaptation. Samhain did not vanish. It was baptized, reshaped, and carried forward under a new banner. The embers of ancient fires still glow in today's Halloween, even as their meaning has shifted toward remembrance, celebration, and for Christians, caution. Long ago in Ireland, a trickster named Stingy Jack was said to have outwitted the devil himself. He invited the devil for a drink, but refused to pay, convincing him to turn into a coin. Jack pocketed the coin beside a silver cross, trapping him. Years later, Jack died, but heaven denied him for his greed, and hell denied him for his deceit. The devil gave him only a burning coal, which Jack placed inside a hollowed-out turnip. Thus he wanders the earth, a faint light flickering in the darkness. Irish immigrants carried Jack's tale to America, where pumpkins replaced turnips, and the jack-o'-lantern became a glowing symbol of Halloween. Every carved pumpkin is a silent nod to this legend, a reminder of a restless soul, and a whisper that some doors once opened are not easily closed. From Norse and Germanic lore comes the Wild Hunt, a phantom procession of ghostly riders sweeping across stormy skies. Their passage was said to bring calamity, war, or death. Villagers stayed indoors on dark autumn nights, fearing that even hearing the hunt's hounds could spell doom. Over time, this terrifying vision became just another Halloween image: spirits on horseback beneath a harvest moon. Today, echoes of the Wild Hunt inspire movies, games, and books, but its original warning about unseen forces is often forgotten. In medieval Europe, it was believed that on All Hallows' Eve, the veil between the living and the dead grew thin. Families left food on doorsteps for wandering spirits. Over centuries, those offerings became costumes and candy. What was once fear of spirits became a playful tradition, though its roots lie in reverence for the dead. Each mask and costume on Halloween night carries a faint echo of those who once prayed for protection. These legends are not random tales. They are fragments of ancient customs, once held sacred or feared. Over time, they became games, decorations, and party themes. What began as desperate acts to ward off darkness has softened into fun for children and nostalgia for adults. But their origin reminds us how deeply humanity has wrestled with death and the unknown. For many Christians, these stories carry uncomfortable echoes of darker practices. While most Halloween customs today are harmless, the Church historically viewed such legends with caution, seeing in them traces of demonic or pagan rites. This isn't about fear or condemnation, it's about awareness. Symbols, even forgotten ones, carry meaning. Recognizing their roots helps us engage with culture thoughtfully without being naive. Halloween stories remind us of the fragile line between reverence and play. They invite us to consider how easily sacred things become trivial and how shadows can hide in plain sight. As pumpkins glow on porches and children laugh in the streets, remember, these legends are the faint heartbeat of ancient nights. To see them clearly is to respect the past, even as we live fully in the present. The fires of Samhain have faded, and the laughter of trick-or-treaters now echoes in quiet streets. Yet beneath the costumes and candy wrappers, Halloween whispers of something far older, something humanity has always felt, the pull between shadow and light. For centuries, cultures have wrapped their fears in stories and rituals, seeking to tame the unknown. Halloween stands as a mirror, a reminder that our world has always danced on the edge of mystery. The ancients burned fires to ward off darkness. Today, we light jack-o'-lanterns for the same reason, even if we do not say so aloud. The Christians who transformed Samhain into All Saints' Day understood this truth. Fear can be replaced with hope, and darkness with a greater light. They did not merely erase traditions, they reoriented them, reminding the world that death is not the end, but a doorway. Yet even now, echoes of that ancient night persist. A plastic skeleton in a store window, a child's mask glowing under streetlights, a candle flickering in a hollowed pumpkin. Symbols once sacred or feared are now playful, but the story behind them still hums beneath the surface. Halloween can be harmless fun, a moment of creativity and community. But it also invites us to ask deeper questions. What do we fear? What do we worship? What do we choose to honor on a night that blurs the line between worlds? Some will say, it's just a holiday, and perhaps for many it is. Yet history warns us that symbols carry weight, even when forgotten. A mask may be a game, but every mask hints at something hidden. The Bible speaks of light and darkness, not as equal forces, but as a victory already won. Halloween, in its own strange way, can remind Christians that the unseen world is real, that the battle is not against flesh and blood, but against shadows we cannot always name. Imagine a lone church bell tolling through the fog, calling back to the martyrs and saints who stood firm when the world wavered. Imagine the stars overhead, ancient witnesses to our fleeting traditions, reminding us of a story greater than any ghost tale. Even as neon lights and candy fill the night, there is room for reverence. You can laugh at the costumes, carve the pumpkins, or share the sweets, but you can also remember that life is fragile, that eternity is vast, and that not every spirit is friendly. The choice is not to fear, but to see clearly. To remember that what was once a fearful festival was transformed into a proclamation of hope. That the cross eclipses the bonfire, and the resurrection outshines the longest shadow. For those of faith, Halloween becomes a reminder, not a trap, a night to choose light over darkness, to tell the world, not with condemnation but with quiet courage, that the story does not end in the grave. And for all, whether believer or skeptic, this night can stir wonder. It can awaken the sense that the universe is larger than we imagine, that unseen forces move around us, that our stories matter. As the final candle burns low and the masks are set aside, the world exhales. The veil between the seen and unseen thickens again, but the questions remain. Who are we beneath the disguises? What do we chase through the dark? What light will guide us home? Halloween at its heart is not about fear alone. It is about choice. Between remembrance and forgetfulness, between shadow and light. And tonight, as always, the choice is yours.